Hello and welcome to Steps of Sussex, and today is a very kind of different tone of video because like many people around the world I woke up today. For some people it broke during your daytime day, but for me I woke up to the really sad news that Meghan and Harry, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, actually suffered a miscarriage back in July. Meghan decided to write an article, an opinion piece for the New York Times, and that was published yesterday. Like I say, I woke up to the story. I've read it several times, and I think I was trying to figure out how to kind of broach this and discuss it on the channel. And basically I came with the conclusion that it's best just to read the article, to read the piece, and then discuss it afterwards. So that's what I think we are going to do. At the start of this video, I invite all of you to leave your messages of support for one another, for Harry and Meghan, for just messages of support. I want this video, especially in the comment section, just to be filled with love and support. So I send, on behalf of everyone who subscribes to any of my channels, I send our collective condolences to Harry and Meghan. And what can you say? It's one of those things that kind of renders you speechless, isn't it? So yes, Karen, I think you summed it up. My heart goes out to the Sussex family. I think it does. So, without further ado, let's go to the New York Times article and read it, and then we will go back and discuss it. So keep your comments coming. I will read as many as I possibly can. So do excuse the glare of the glasses, but I think I might actually need them for this. So anyway, it's an opinion piece in the New York Times by Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, and the piece is called "The Losses We Share." And there's a little kind of excerpt on it that says, "Perhaps the path to healing begins with 3 simple words. Are you okay?" And those words, I think, are going to resonate with a lot of people, because those are the words that Tom Bradby asked Meghan at the end of the Australasia tour. Are you okay? And that was kind of the start, I think, of Harry and Meghan's journey into where they are today. So Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, described as being the writer is a mother, feminist and advocate. Published November the 25th, 2020. It was a July morning that began as ordinarily as any other day. Make breakfast, feed the dogs, take vitamins, find that missing sock, pick up that rogue crayon that rolled under the table, throw my hair in a ponytail before getting my son from his crib. After changing his diaper, I felt a sharp cramp. I dropped to the floor with him in my arms, humming a lullaby to keep us both calm. A cheerful tune, a stark contrast to my sense that something was not right. I knew as I clutched my firstborn child that I was losing my second. Hours later, I lay in a hospital bed, holding my husband's hand. I felt the clamminess of his palm and kissed his knuckles, wet from both our tears. Staring at the cold white walls, my eyes glazed over. I tried to imagine how we'd heal. I recalled a moment last year when Harry and I were finishing up a long tour in South Africa. I was exhausted. I was breastfeeding our infant son, and I was trying to keep a brave face in the very public eye. Sorry, I make it a correction. It wasn't the Australasia tour, it was the African tour. "Are you okay?" a journalist asked me. I answered him honestly, not knowing what I said would resonate with so many. New moms and older ones, and anyone who had, in their own way, been silently suffering. My off-the-cuff reply seemed to give people permission to speak their truth. But it wasn't responding honestly that helped me most. It was the question itself. "Thank you for asking," I said. "Not many people have asked if I'm okay." Sitting in a hospital bed, watching my husband's heart break as he tried to hold the shattered pieces of mine, I realised that the only way to begin to heal is to first ask, are you okay? Are we? This year has brought so many of us to our breaking points. Loss and pain have plagued every one of us in 2020. In moments both fraught and debilitating, we've heard all the stories. A woman starts her day as normal as any other, but then receives a call that she's lost her elderly mother to COVID-19. A man wakes feeling fine, maybe a little sluggish, but nothing out of the ordinary. He tests positive for the coronavirus, and within weeks he, like hundreds of thousands of others, had died. A young woman named Breonna Taylor goes to sleep, just as she's done every night before, but she doesn't live to see the morning because a police raid turns horribly wrong. George Floyd leaves a convenience store not realising he will take his last breath under the weight of someone's knee, and in his final moments calls out for his mom. Peaceful protests become violent. Health rapidly shifts to sickness. In places where there was once community, there is now division. On top of all this, it seems we no longer agree on what is true. We aren't just fighting over our opinions of facts, we are polarised over whether the fact is in fact a fact. We are at odds over whether science is real. We are at odds over whether an election has been won or lost. We are at odds over the value of compromise. That polarisation, coupled with the social isolation required to fight this pandemic, has left us feeling more alone than ever. When I was in my late teens, I sat in the back of a taxi zipping through the busyness and the bustle of Manhattan. I looked out of the window and I saw a woman on her phone in a flood of tears. She was standing on the sidewalk, living out a private moment very publicly. At the time, the city was new to me, and I asked the driver if we should stop to see if the woman needed help. He explained that New Yorkers live out their personal lives in public spaces. We love in the city, we cry in the street, our emotions and stories there for anybody to see. I remember him telling me, don't worry, somebody on the corner will ask her if she's okay. Now, all these years later, in isolation and lockdown, grieving the loss of a child, the loss of my country's shared belief in what's true, I think of that woman in New York. What if no one stopped? What if no one saw her suffering? What if no one helped? I wish I could go back and ask my cab driver to pull over. This, I realise, is the danger of siloed living, where moments sad, scary or sacrosanct are all lived out alone. There is no one stopping to ask, are you okay? Losing a child means carrying an almost unbearable grief, experienced by many but talked about by few. In the pain of our loss, my husband and I discovered that in a room of 100 women, 10 to 20 of them will have suffered from miscarriage. Yet despite the staggering commonality of this pain, the conversation remains taboo, riddled with unwarranted shame and perpetuating a cycle of solitary mourning. Some have bravely shared their stories. They have opened the door, knowing that when one person speaks truth, it gives license for all of us to do the same. We have learned that when people ask how any of us are doing, and when they really listen to the answer with an open heart and mind, the load of grief often becomes lighter. For all of us, in being invited to share our pain together, we take the steps towards healing. So, this Thanksgiving, as we plan for a holiday unlike any before, many of us separated from our loved ones, alone, sick, scared, divided, and perhaps struggling to find anything to be grateful for. Let us commit to asking others, are you okay? As much as we may disagree, as physically distant as we may be, the truth is that we are more connected than ever because of all we have individually and collectively endured this year. We are adjusting to a new normal where faces are concealed by masks, but it's forcing us to look into one another's eyes, sometimes filled with warmth, oftentimes with tears. For the first time in a long time, as human beings, we are really seeing one another. Are we okay? We will be. And that is the full piece written by Meghan. A very, very powerful piece. And just as I was reading it, I could feel my eyes kind of welling up. Not sure if you noticed, but they were. A very powerful, emotional piece. And I think a very reflective piece, especially this time of year when we're coming up to the end of the year, whether you celebrate Christmas or not. It's coming up to the end of the year, and it's often a time when we start to reflect on the year. And I think that piece has kind of touched me quite hard because a lot of the things I was thinking, that's me, that's how I feel, and you might feel the same. I think we can all resonate with at least something in that piece. And I was kind of reading it and thinking, my goodness, there are so many things that I can resonates with me. And there's been a lot of sadness in this year. And at the minute, I'm, as you know, as you may know, I write my own Christmas message every single year that goes out on Christmas Day, and I literally started writing it yesterday, and pretty much a lot of what Meghan is writing in her piece is kind of like what I'm saying in mine. There has been so much kind of, you know, discontent in the world. And then to couple that with the loss of an unborn child as well. And of course, Meghan is saying this happened back in July. So kind of cast your mind back to July. We saw, I'm sure it was around about that time, we saw Meghan and Harry leaving, I think it was described as a multifunctional building that had medical facilities and all kinds of things in it. She was clutching this bag. You know, perhaps that was to do with this. I think someone said that there was a fertility clinic or something to do with that kind of thing in that building. So it seems likely now that that was probably after this really, really sad loss. Again, there was lots of really, really powerful things in there, which I'll go back and kind of pick out a few in a moment. But I want to go up and read some people's comments. So Stephanie, we'll start with you. I can just see your comment in my eyeline. I didn't want to read it, but the article was brilliant. I lost my father in August. A few elderly friends to COVID-19. Thanks so much for entertaining us through this year. I think we all know someone or know someone who's lost someone or been affected because of this. And that's why I think a piece like this resonates so much with all of us. Constance says a very thoughtful and moving speech. Sean Giles says such a moving piece. My heart goes out to Meghan, but really hating all these horrible comments saying she just... Oh, if anybody thinks that someone deserves to lose a child, then we really have hit rock bottom, I'm afraid. Jeanette says a very touching message. Inanoshi, I hope I said your name correctly, says, my heart is broken for Meghan and Harry. I can't imagine the devastating toll such a deeply personal loss can take on one, yet I'm heartened by their resolve to share this with us and other families. Sheila Hall, I agree. Sheila Hall says, I am so glad for once Meghan and Harry got to share this on their terms. Yes, it was very, very much on their terms. And of course, we don't know exactly when in July this happened, but let's just say, you know, we're at least 5 months on from the main event. And of course, you know, I haven't experienced the loss of an unborn child, so I can't speak from experience, but I can speak from loss, just loss in general. And you know, you do have kind of grief comes in waves and phases, doesn't it? You have the initial grief that's also filled with a lot of shock that kind of happens at the time, and then as you move on in time, time can be a great healer, but the emotions change. And you know, when you're grieving, you know, how you're grieving now, 5, 6 months down the line, 10 years down the line, is different to the initial grief that you have. So I think, you know, by the fact that Meghan and Harry have been able to share this now, at least 5 months down the line, it shows that they are ready to do that. They are ready to share it, and on their own terms. You know, this is a publication that Meghan will have chosen, I think, to have put this out to. It's a platform that she is happy and comfortable to share, and of course it's an issue that now, you know, going forward is going to be very, very close to her own heart because she's experienced it, and I imagine that she will probably do a lot of work in this sector going forward. And of course it all links into mental health as well. And of course different people grieve differently. There is no right or wrong way to grieve. It's just, you know, you do you, but you know, ask if people are okay. Don't be scared to ask, even if, you know, you think that someone might not want to talk about it. Well, at least if they know that you're there, if ever they do want to talk about it, they can talk about it. Gay Fry says, thank you for sharing compassion. You are more than welcome. I don't understand these people that might make horrible comments about something like this. I mean, okay, I know some of us have, opinions, for example, of royal reporters, but I haven't seen any of them, any royal reporter, not show any compassion over what's happened, what Meghan and Harry have shared. Jane says, when were the babies due? Oh, we don't know. I mean, we don't know how far into the pregnancy Meghan was. I don't know. I mean, usually, I think I read something today that most, not all, but most miscarriages do happen in the first trimester, so that's the first 3 months. So I imagine that she was probably within that time period. Teresa says, they have endured so much negativity and hate. We as humans beings need to lift each other. My heart goes out to them and to every single couple that have lost a child and had that awful experience. Yeah. Zamezi says, a new angel is now in heaven. Yeah, the miscarriage happened in July. This year, yes, this year. Yeah, if people were thinking last year, no, it was this year. This year. Tisha says, well said about loss. I've lost both my grandmas and grandpas. Yeah, I mean, it's different. Loss is different. But yeah, it's, time is a healer. It enables us to heal, but you still have that grief. Grief is still with you. Whoever or whatever you've lost, whether it be a pet or, an unborn child or a relative that, a grandparent or a parent or a child, whatever it might be, it's all different, and people deal with things in different ways, and no way is the right or wrong way to deal with it. Mary's got to go, but yeah, have a good day. Peter says, so beautifully written, maybe from their new PR team. I think it sounds very, very much written by Meghan, I think. I don't think it was written by anyone else. And of course, don't forget, Meghan used to write, pieces, not like this, but, she used to write pieces for the TIG. So I think most people will probably agree that I think it was written by Meghan. Yeah, Rosary, just like me, you woke up to read that article by Meghan. Right, I'm going to go back to the article, and I'm going to scoot all the way back up it and kind of let my eyes pick out bits that I wanted to kind of talk about. So, again, we do have very powerful imagery. Meghan is really good at using words to kind of craft, to craft emotions. Hours later, I lay in a hospital bed holding my husband's hand. I felt the clamminess of his palm and kissed his knuckles, wet from both our tears. Staring at the cold white walls, my eyes glazed over. I tried to imagine how we'd heal. That is an incredibly powerful, moving image that kind of sums up in one paragraph what happened, but also the challenges ahead. I tried to imagine how we'd heal, and that is... I think it's something to concentrate on is the healing, and I've spoken about, Harry indicated, earlier on this week that, I think they are in a place of healing, and I think there is a lot of outside interference coming in that is trying very, very hard to get at their healing and disrupt it. Harry, through a spokesperson, was talking about his brother not wanting people to drive a wedge between them. And I've said this before, I'll say it again because I think it is true, that there is so much negativity coming from everywhere. It's all angles. And also both sides of this, this divide that seems to exist between royal watchers and Harry and Meghan supporters. And it's all just so negative, and it doesn't allow this kind of process of healing. It comes from all sides. I'm not singling out any side as being the ones that contribute, but we all have a personal responsibility, I think, in contributing to this. Just because other people are contributing to the noise and you know, making negative comments, it doesn't mean that we as individuals have to do that. We all have an individual responsibility. And like I say, there are negative comments coming from all over, including people, just regular people on the internet, who some of them have a platform and some of them are using that platform to perpetuate this kind of negativity, and it's not allowing people to heal. Let's have a look. And then obviously Meghan talks about the kind of Tom Bradby comment about "Are you okay?" And again, I think that was, I suppose, a moment of realization for Meghan, because at that moment she probably just admitted to herself, I'm not okay. There are things in my life that I'm not happy with. And I think that's probably what spearheaded the withdrawal from the royal family. I'm just kind of scooting down trying to find. Then obviously Meghan talks about Black Lives Matter with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, and again, a very powerful imagery going on. On top of all of this, Meghan says, it seems we are no longer agree on what is true. And again, this is the parts that resonate with me a lot. On top of all this, it seems we no longer agree on what is true. We aren't just fighting over our opinions of facts. We are polarized over what if the fact is fact. Yeah, I mean, I totally get that. Being in an online space where we have people with their opinions, presenting them as fact, and then that getting perpetuated and pushed out there. You know, real true journalism, real true facts are becoming very, very scarce. A lot of people really are polarizing issues, not just about Harry and Meghan, but just in general. People are really polarizing, putting out their opinion. And usually it's people that shout the loudest, that kind of put a lot out there, that get their opinions out there and present it as fact. And then more and more people read that and then believe it, and it's not really based on fact, and then it snowballs, and that's how these kind of lies and rumours and mistruths get spread, and people repeat them. And yeah, I've definitely come up against that. Gaslighting, people gaslighting audiences is another really big thing that's kind of dooming the internet right now. That polarization, coupled with the social isolation required to fight this pandemic, has left us feeling more alone than ever. Again, I can resonate with that. You know, feeling alone, feeling like I'm the only one on the kind of, you know, YouTube space that is trying to be kind of, you know, just in the middle, that's not polarizing. So I can relate to that entirely. The story about the lady in Manhattan who was crying on the streets, again, powerful imagery. I wonder what happened to her. Just like Meghan, I would love to know who she is, what she was crying about, if someone did ask if she was okay. And of course, Meghan reflecting on the fact that if she had her time again, she would ask the taxi driver to stop, and that she would have actually asked if she was okay. Then obviously she talks about, trying to go down, plans for the future for Thanksgiving, talking about people being separated from one another, being alone, sick, scared, divided, perhaps struggling. Again, I think it's important that we ask one another, are you okay? That is, you know, a question that perhaps, you know, people don't ask each other enough. Again, adjusting to a new normal, something that we are all having to do. And finishing up on, are we okay? We will be. Well, we will, because life carries on and we always find a way of getting through things. Right, I'm going to go back to comments and questions. Sean says it's funny that the press make negative... It's not just the press. I'm going to park you right there. It's not just the press. There are lots of outlets online, even people, you know, pertaining to be Harry and Meghan supporters, that are contributing to this lack of healing. Again, I'm not just focusing in on Harry and Meghan supporters. There's the other way as well. There are those that, you know, are uber supporters of the royal family, and they are also putting out their own brand of hate. Basically, like I say, I think it all comes down to to you as an individual, are you going to add to that noise? Just because other people are doing it, it doesn't mean that we have to. It doesn't mean that you have to, because it just adds to it. Mathilde says a miscarriage is a loss of a child, time to grieve and allowing one's baby to heal the mother, but also for Prince Harry, who is beyond supportive of his family, my deepest sympathy. Yes, and like I say, 5 months down the line, they have healed to a point of being able to talk about it, and I think that's what we're seeing now. Dawn says you are right. Well, I hope I am. May God bless and keep us all. Hence Meghan and Harry's involvement in Time Talks 100 to make the internet a safe, healthy and hate-free place. Have a blessed rest of the week. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that stance. The internet has become... it's not the same space it was when I first kind of started talking about the royal family back in 2015. Let me just take a drink. Just regular tea. It's totally different. The entire space has completely changed. The kind of mood music has completely changed, and we are living in a very polarized society where we don't often kind of compromise and look at other people's opinions and views. Yeah, it's shocking, shall we say. Peter says she should call her father and say, "Are you okay?" I mean, obviously, it's personal. But, you know, to a certain extent, I get what you're trying to say. Family disagreements. Life is too short. Life is too short for family disagreements. You know, regardless of what people have done to you, life is short. I think COVID-19 and, you know, things can happen. Lives can be taken away from us at the drop of a hat. Life is too short. We do only have one family. We can't pick our blood family. We can pick our friends, but we can't pick our family. We do only have one. And if we can resolve our disagreements, then I think that's a good place to be in. But yes, it takes two, I think, to heal on that level. Hopefully they are healing behind closed doors. Christine says, I just saw 2 famous royal reporters warning their audience about negativity on their timeline today. I am pleased to see that they are putting their hate on the side of it. I haven't seen anybody, I agree, I haven't seen anybody who has, you know, been a royal reporter or someone in that's not had compassion in their heart over this. So yes, I would agree. Netta says, sometimes you get comfort and support, sometimes you don't, depends on the situation at hand, as in spousal support. Well, I think Meghan's not had the issue of spousal support. Sean says, I've lost a baby and the pain wasn't as bad as the pain of losing a child. I will always wonder about the child I have lost and if I could have done something to stop it happening, but I can't change it. Again, powerful words from Sean, and you know, my deepest condolences go out to you for your loss, or anyone who suffered the loss. But thank you very, very much for sharing your experiences. Right, I'm just trying to go up again. Right, I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom of the comments. Lauren says, a sensitive question. Do we know if the interview was supposed to be for all media? It was released as a New York Times article. That's all I know. It was just released for the New York Times. Christine, I agree. I think we are all sick of the pandemic. Mercury Angel is saying, what, a YouTube channel? Meghan is putting this story out there. Oh, is a YouTube channel saying that Meghan is putting the story out there to help others going through this. This has been a silent tragedy that many women suffer. Yes, and yeah, I think, well, also, I think she's doing it for personal healing as well. Sometimes, what's the old adage? A problem shared is a problem halved. So I think it can be cathartic, it can be kind of cleansing and healing to kind of just put it out there, to kind of be able to have those conversations. And I think probably by putting it out there, Meghan is inviting conversation. I think she's inviting discussion. I think she's probably at the point in her journey of healing where, well, and Harry as well, I'm not just talking about Meghan, Harry as well, that they actually want to talk about it. I think probably, you know, if you met Meghan and Harry, you know, I think going by this piece that they would be quite open about talking about it and discussing it. I think they are at that stage for them right now. You know, some people might never ever be ready to talk about it, but that's personal. That's up to them. But I think Harry and Meghan are at that point where they're okay to talk about it. It's probably more healing to put it out there and to have it discussed about than to kind of keep it in, if that makes sense. Emerald Oracle says, the fact there's a backlash from a woman expressing their deep personal grief over loss of a child tells you everything you need to know. I don't think the backlash is as big as what people are thinking. I think a few, shall I say, twits on Twitter, tweeting or leaving a few comments, does not represent, you know, I mean, how many people are there globally? There's like billions of people. I think, you know, a few horrible people making some horrible comments is not representative of, you know, of everybody. So don't get distorted is what I'm saying. Don't concentrate on the few people that are putting out the negative things. The majority of people, this is what I mean, okay, I'm guilty of this as well. Sometimes, you know, I'll read through the comments of a video or a post or something, and there can be, you know, 95% positive comments written, but the ones that you focus in on are the ones that are negative. And you can't help it. It's human nature. It's what we all do. We all kind of focus in on the negative. But you have to kind of sometimes give yourself a bit of a shake and concentrate on the things that are the positive. In this situation, the majority of people, probably 95% of comments, are supportive of what Harry and Meghan have been through with regards to the miscarriage. Don't focus on the ones that, you know, the few that are putting out the negative, because that's not a true representation of how people are feeling. I'm guilty of that too when I read comments on my own videos. Right, I'm going to kind of go down. Christine says, so true, no one likes their feelings. And you can guarantee that the one comment that you always remember about yourself is the negative one. You know, loads of people can be saying how much they're enjoying your video, in my case, or whatever, but the ones that you focus in on are the negative ones. BD says, oh my God, this is so sad and brave of the Duchess to write this article. May God bless her and strengthen her. Kaneta says, even 29 years later at this time of year, I get depressed and don't want to celebrate Christmas. We all have personal ways of dealing. As I said, it's personal. It's a personal way of dealing with things and grieving and healing. Lauren says, but I'm sure we can all agree after watching The Crown, things need to be discussed. Again, let's talk about The Crown in a different... Well, I'm discussing it on Royal Reviewer. I'm doing an episode by episode review. The Crown has a lot of distortions in it and a lot of misinformation. So please don't hold or form your views over what you see in The Crown. It is a dramatisation, not a documentary. For your information, I actually thought that season 1 of The Crown was very historically accurate. Season 2, there was a little bit more kind of, you know, liberties taken. Season 3, we were kind of back to it being kind of, you know, played out for the cameras, so to speak. Probably not 100% true. And then season 4, we've seen a lot of inaccuracies in terms of timelines and timescales and portrayals. So be very wary of forming your opinion. Again, back to Meghan's piece, you know, we're disagreeing about facts and opinions and misinformation and mistruths. So be very wary. Don't base everything on The Crown. Go and check my episode by episode review on Royal Reviewer, and I kind of break down those things. Anyway, Miss Giselle says, did she recently have a miscarriage at July of this year? Yeah, July of this year. Elise says, I just got here, I'm so sad about that. Yeah, I think we all are. Oh, Lauren, I will read the rest of your comment. Things need to be discussed after Princess Diana's struggle and the disabled cousins. Yeah, I mean, I stick by what I said before. You know, some of what's being portrayed in The Crown is not necessarily 100% accurate, shall we say. Right. Stephanie says, on a positive note, we now know what they are, that they are wanting more children. Yes, I mean, you know, it does show that that they, you know, had things have gone differently. You know, we would be probably expecting, you know, a baby on the way, if not already, probably very soon. But yeah, it shows that they are trying, and perhaps when we saw her coming out of, and Harry coming out of that kind of multi-clinic, whatever it was, and she was clutching that thing that people believed was something to do with pregnancy. I can't remember what it was, but something. Perhaps they are trying again, and also brings us back to the delay in the court case. Now, many people speculated at the time, because of the time frame of the delay, that perhaps it was to do with a pregnancy. And again, I remember talking about it on the channel. You know, we couldn't say one way or the other whether she is pregnant or not, and that's part of the reason, or whether it's because she's trying to get pregnant and doesn't want the stress, because of course stress can also, you know, impact on your chances of conceiving or maintaining a pregnancy, shall we say. So yeah, it could be that she's pregnant. Again, we don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say she is pregnant, because none of us know that until we get an official announcement on anything. You know, fingers crossed that we get to the point where we can have an announcement on the pregnancy. Usually people wait, you know, until the first trimester is over. So yeah, maybe hopefully we'll get something. I don't know. But yeah. Let's go down again. Lauren says, me and my mum were talking earlier, and we talked about how many royals have maybe been there. Look at how many children Queen Victoria had. I mean, back in the day, before kind of medication and medical science advances, you know, it was common for people to have miscarriages, or to lose children in stillbirths, or to lose children very early on in infancy. That's why people had, you know, really, really big families. But again, you know, it makes you wonder how people dealt, for example, in Victorian times, when people definitely didn't talk about their feelings. It wasn't socially acceptable to talk about feelings back then, and for some people it's still the case. It makes you wonder how people struggled with mental health back in Victorian times. It must have been absolutely dreadful. No, we don't know how many months along Harry and Meghan were. Maybe at some point she might discuss that. Don't know. Lisa says, the disgusting comments I've been seeing on other people's YouTube channels regarding Meghan's miscarriage makes me lose faith. Don't concentrate on them. Don't concentrate on the negative ones. Concentrate on the positive. I bet there's more positive than what there is negative. 300 Books says, so sad for Harry and Meghan. If Meghan hadn't written about it, and the press would have, and they would have added their own spin to the story. Now, going back to kind of your point, I thought about this, and I don't think Meghan has spoken about this, and Harry spoken about this, because, you know, they were frightened of the press finding out and getting there before them. I think, I mean, it was a pretty good feat, for example, that the press didn't find out about Meghan being in hospital, because, you know, she says that she went to hospital. The press didn't find out about that. I don't think the press knew about this. I don't think they were sat on it, you know, waiting for a time to kind of put it out there. I think if they had have known about this at any point, I think they would have put it out there. What spin they would have put on it, I don't know. But I don't think they knew about it. I think this is very much Meghan choosing the time to share it when they were ready to share it. I think they did kind of basically hide, you know, make sure this didn't get into the press. You know, they hid the fact that they'd gone to hospital quite well, I think. So no, I don't think they were, you know, doing it forced to put this out, basically. Lauren, oh, Rosley, I don't have any I don't have any moderators here. Lauren says, I think people think the press know more than they do because they write a lot about small things and make them big. Yeah, possibly. Stephanie says, lots of loss back in Victorian times. Queen Alexandra and King Edward lost an infant child. Yeah, it was, you know, shockingly, it was common back then, before medical advances and lifestyles improved. Lisa says, you're right, there's a lot of positive comments and support, but to hate someone to this degree is alarming. Yes, it is. Don't concentrate on those comments. I'm pretty positive that there are more people supportive on this than what there are negative. Right, I think I'm going to end this conversation here. We've had quite a good discussion. We've got 168 people watching. I hope that you found this video useful. If you do have any questions really quickly about the actual piece that Meghan wrote in the New York Times, ask it quickly before I go. But yeah, like I say, I didn't really know the right way of discussing this, but I thought the best way was to just read Meghan's own words and then just have a bit of a group chat and a group discussion on this. In Meghan's kind of own words on a different topic, I think the only, you know, wrong thing is to not say anything at all. So yeah, I think that's kind of where we're at with that one. Right. I don't see any further questions coming through, so I think we're going to end it here. If you do have any questions or comments, leave it in the comment section below. If you want to leave your messages of support and condolence for Harry and Meghan, again, leave a message in the comment section. We don't know if they're reading it. We don't know if they're watching, or, you know, I don't know. But anyway, I would like to say again, I said it at the start of this video, I'll say it again now, that on behalf of myself and all of my viewers that watch across all of my different channels, I want to offer our collective condolences and our heartfelt outpourings of love that we are sending to Harry and Meghan at this time. So on behalf of everyone, our hearts go out to you. Right, okay, people won't have enjoyed this video, but if you found this video useful, please give it a big old thumbs up. At least it helps to get the video out to more people who may find this video useful and a help and a chance to discuss things. So give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and, you know, share it on social media. So from me in Shropshire, mwah to you all, and goodbye.